All right, good morning, class. Need Romans 3:10 through 18. Wes, you would bless us with your lovely announcer voice.
Very well. As it is written, there is no righteous person, not even one. There is no one who understands. There is no one who seeks out God. They have all turned aside. Together they have become corrupt. There is no one who does good. There is not even one. Their throat is an open grave. With their tongues they keep deceiving. The venom of asps is under their lips. Their mouth is full of cursing and bitterness. Their feet are swift to shed blood. Destruction and misery are in their paths, and they have not known the way of peace. There is no fear of God before their eyes.
All right, so a quick recap from the last couple of weeks. We talked about something called the Synod of Dort, which is Dutch, and it was from the 1600s, and it was largely about Dutch politics. Okay. I don't care about politics in America in 2026. I certainly don't care about politics in the Netherlands in the 1618. Okay. Because there's nothing new under the sun, and really powerful people I have also found are generally really petty people. So, that's life. That's a whole nother rant I could have. But two big divisions within the church kind of came out of this, and that's what we're talking about. But I did warn about the dangers of something called tribalism. Who remembers that? What is that, and why is it bad?
We're us, and we want to kill you.
Yes,
'Cause you're
yes,
not us.
yes, okay. Which is, it's a very much us versus them mentality, and it leads to death, and that is bad. That is division. Christ brings unity and forgiveness, right? That's the whole point. And so we've had people leave the church over various reasons across my 20-some years. Those of you that know the story or were here in 2007, I had been on staff 6 months. It was in the midst of March Madness basketball season. I stood up in the pulpit and I made a joke about Tyler Hansbrough whooping Duke at Duke. Just as a joke, just a new pastor. Half the congregation thought it was funny. Half didn't. That's the way it goes, right? But one man stood up and actively stormed out, and that was the very first person I ran off from the church. Nothing to do with theology, everything to do with college basketball. And so that's always one of the stories I like to tell young pastors. But at its core, it's tribalism, right? Like, we put our identity in this tribe or this group, and then eventually, since we can't be wrong, therefore the group can't be wrong, and anyone opposed to the group are blasphemers and must die. Like, that's what it gets down to at its core. There's nothing new about this. This goes back to the book of Genesis. You can see this in any group that wants to define itself better as another group, and that is just our nature as prideful, sinful, fallen beings. And so the Dutch political system manipulated two groups of people: the non-remonstrants, who were big fans of John Calvin, who had passed, and the remonstrants, who were big fans of Arminius, who had since passed. We talked about how Luther and Calvin and Arminius all carried the flag and the banner for the Reformation, and they're all three in heaven looking at us arguing over what they taught, going, that's not what I said at all. That's not what I meant at all, right? And anyone that's ever taught anything has been severely misquoted at least once in your life, which is why I absolutely love our stuff being on YouTube. And I go, no, I didn't say that. That's not what I said at all. Let's go back to the videotape. Right, and then we play it. And the example I give to a lot of young pastors is, guys don't go to counseling. Guys will meet you for lunch. Mm-hmm. So I meet guys for lunch a lot, which is obvious. But anyway, there's a lot of good places to eat in Pershing County. So I was meeting a guy at a hot dog hamburger place, and he was complaining about something. He was complaining about his spouse and her pet. You know, I think he was just having a bad day or a bad week and goes, where's the Bible says I have to take care of my pet? Well, there's actually a verse in Proverbs that says the righteous man cares for the life of his pet, and I showed it to him. And then he goes, well, I don't like the pet anyway. I don't care what it says. Therein lies the problem, right? The minute it hit up against not what you knew, but how you felt, you did not like that particular response and was willing to toss it. Okay. Again, we all have at least one thing we've read in the scripture where we thought, well, I don't like this. It doesn't apply to me. Okay. So with all this as a background, the non-remonstrants and the remonstrants were basically used as political pawns to play against each other, so these two different Dutch politicians could control who rules the Netherlands. That doesn't mean value didn't come out of this thing. It just means it came out of a really messy place. And so there are two big stances that come out of this. From the Arminian side and the Calvin side. And so they both came up with 5 points. We had the 5 sola with Martin Luther, so the Calvinists had their 5 points, and the Remonstrants, the Arminians, had their 5 points. So you can remember Calvin's 5 points with an acronym called TULIP. There's the total depravity. Unconditional election, irresistible grace.
That's an L. Limited atonement.
That is an L, thank you. I not have enough coffee. That's why I keep her around. That's why Lindsay makes her stay here. But you know, limited atonement, irresistible grace. I can't spell this morning worse than normal. And perseverance of the saints.
Calvin was right.
Nobody stormed out.
Yeah,
mean,
I know.
Yeah.
See, I'm so proud of you. Someone expressed an opinion and everybody's like, yes, that is his opinion that he is allowed to have. And we will not murder you for disagreeing. Now, I just need to spread this to the other 700 people that will be here. And we'll make some progress. So, in the way I like to line stuff up, they did also come up with 5 points, but they don't necessarily line up in order with those 5 points. And that bothers me to no end.
I bet.
Worse
Yeah,
than,
it's so
that bothers
crooked.
me, for those of you that were here Wednesday, that bothers me worse than not getting an 8th grade graduation. Okay. Yeah. So,
It's cattywampus.
they had human depravity. I think I can find my order. No, the order was different. They had conditional election.
Nobody remembers theirs because they didn't do a cute little.
They did not
They
come
didn't
up
have
with
an
a good
acronym.
acronym.
Everybody knows TULIP. Nobody knows the 5 points of Arminian. That should tell you something. No.
Well, also their guy got arrested and beheaded. So,
Yeah, that's
you know, winners write history.
Winners right history.
Unlimited atonement. Human depravity. This one is 2 words. Resistible, I never pronounce this correctly, previent grace, which is a word I did not know existed prior to studying this, whenever year I had to first study it.
Okay.
And conditional perseverance. So I'm going to give y'all a very short spoiler about a lot of this. And if you take away absolutely nothing from the next couple of months, I want you to know the key disagreement between these two. And that word is called semantics.
Nice.
Does anyone know what that word means?
Playing with words.
Yeah. Same thing, different
Different
words. Okay. My oldest daughter has been blessed in that she looks like her mother and she's intelligent like her mother. She has been cursed in that her personality mirrors a lot more of her father than it does her mother. This is just reality. So when you have two people very similar in your house, what do?
They butt
argue,
heads.
right? And they butt heads, right? And they conflict constantly. Now, Lindsay is the Glen Whisperer and has 25 plus years in interpreting me, so I'm slightly less offensive to other people. So the other problem is, if you know Newsome's, you know we have fantastic grip strength in that when we hold on to a grudge, we never let that thing go. Equally, we're fine with admitting we're wrong. We just aren't. So when me and Madison have conflicts, we need Lindsay there to sort them out, because most of the time we are saying the same thing with different words. And she goes, "You're arguing over nothing. You're saying the same thing with different words."
Can I give an example?
Yes, please do.
Felicity and David did the same thing.
Yeah, so Felicity doesn't understand different words. So stop means stop. She will actually stop. But if you say pause or halt or anything else, she does not understand that that means stop. Anyway.
Yeah, I feel her.
You're like,
Equally,
technically.
me and Madison need very clear, direct instructions for us to attempt to follow them.
With
So-
no loopholes.
Yeah. Well, loopholes are.
No loopholes.
Yes, we have a love of loopholes. So, at the end of the day, the big takeaway of this is we're mostly arguing over semantics. We've talked a lot about there's what we know and there is what we feel, and they very rarely line up, and they're two different things. Okay, most of these arguments that I have personally experienced, when they got heated, it's not because someone was concerned with heresy and blasphemy. They just didn't like the implication of that particular teaching. They did not like the way it made them feel, and the argument gets heated. And after the argument's heated, it gets personal, it gets insulting, and then it gets threatening. And you see that escalation. And when you read the Gospels, you see that escalation, specifically between Jesus and the Pharisees. Jesus always stays calm. Jesus always sticks to the scriptures and what the actual issue is. And the Pharisees first lose theologically, and then they lose legally, and then they just start insulting him, and then they start threatening him, and then they kill him. And none of those things took. So for the first one today, if I get someone to read Ephesians 2, 1 and 5. Ephesians chapter 2, 1 and 5.
Is it 1 through 5 or 1 and 5?
1 through 5.
Okay,
Thank
and you were dead in your trespasses and sins, in which you previously walked according to the ways of this world, according to the ruler of the power of the air, the spirit now working in the disobedient. We too all previously lived among them in our fleshly desires, carrying out the inclinations of our flesh and thoughts, and we were by nature children under wrath, as the others were also. But God, who is rich in mercy, because of his great love that he had for us, made us alive with Christ, even though we were dead in trespasses. You are saved by grace.
Okay, so the Bible is very, very clear that we are sinners, and that we are all sinners, and that we are sinners from birth, and that since Genesis chapter 3, with the fall of man, we have all been sinners, and we are bound under our sin. Okay, so that's the sin nature, and acknowledging and understanding your sin nature is your first step on the road towards salvation, because until you acknowledge you need help, you can't actually accept any help. So just bottom line. And so the Calvinists' concept of original sin teach something called total depravity. Now, the Remonstrants in original sin teach something called human depravity. And so I'll see if you can catch the differences, okay? You ever looked at one of those magic pictures? It's like spot the differences. Okay, so we really need you to pay attention. And so for I may not be able to get back up either. Just
I got you.
okay.
Been there, done that.
So, total depravity says every part of human nature is corrupted by sin. Alright, so, yeah, you go.
You did it.
Yay!
Every part of human nature is corrupted by sin. This is erroneously explained as we're all evil as we possibly can be all the time. That's not true. No one is like that. I know you thought of at least one person that seems like that, but there's at least one person that you're nice to at some point in their life, generally speaking. Okay, but every part of human nature is corrupted by sin. We have boys, and if you raise boys, you understand they are noise covered in dirt. And you send them outside because they're loud and they're energetic. And they come in from outside and they are covered in various things, right? They're covered in mud and dirt, and the mud just tracks everywhere, right? It's like when you go to the beach. You go to the beach, you bring back sand, and you find sand sometimes for months, you know? Think of the corruption, not someone being evil as they possibly can be, but some part of them is dirty all the time. Again, just like little boys. Some part of them is dirty all the time, no matter how hard you try, right? And just the sand gets everywhere. The mud gets everywhere. Now, some people, are they dirtier than others? Absolutely. Are there different times when you're cleaner and then you're dirtier? Yes. But are you ever fully clean? No. One of the illustrations me and the staff like to use is, let's say I had a brand new 20-ounce bottle of water, right? And it's unopened. That is pure and that is pristine and that is water. Okay, now let me go find some used motor oil from your vehicle, and I drop it in there and I shake it up. It's still 99.9% clean water, and it's 0.1% used motor oil, and unless you're a mechanic, you're probably not going to drink that, right? But no matter how hard you try, it's in there, right? And it varies. The corruption is there. The corruption is in all of us. It's just a matter of how much it covers. Now, human depravity teaches something slightly different. They teach that every part of human nature is corrupted by sin. Oh wait, that's the same thing. Okay. They also, this group, we are all spiritually dead, right? Because that's what Ephesians tells us. But on this side, they also teach we are all spiritually dead. All right, are you seeing a pattern here? Okay, okay. There is no salvation apart from grace, apart from God's grace. But over here, it's also taught there's no salvation apart from God's grace. The big difference between these two has nothing to do with this one. All right, like they're 100% on board. They could have named them the same things, but you can't use it the same name because it's the same thing, right? So the names are different. When we start getting into unconditional election versus conditional election, unlimited atonement versus limited atonement, irresistible grace versus resistible grace, perseverance of the saints versus conditional perseverance, what we're talking about is ultimately something we don't have an answer for. And so the big conflict here is how grace works. Not from a generalized, we all need grace for salvation, and Jesus showed us grace, and I show you grace, and like it's more along the lines of like popping the hood and the actual mechanics of grace. So I want to point out that Calvin and Arminius both lined up with the five sola. And the five sola also were not new and unique to the church at all. It was more along the lines of what really happened is Martin Luther went, hey, you guys are charging people for forgiveness. It's at its core. And then they went a little further and goes, hey, you guys are charging people for forgiveness, but you're also charging people for forgiveness for their dead relatives. And also, you invented a place called purgatory, which exists nowhere in Scripture, which is basically like spirit jail. It's not as bad as hell, which is eternal torment, but you're held in purgatory until we pay X amount of money to get them out. And also, while this has made a good living for us, it's not actually what anything says in the Bible. And that was Martin Luther's point. And everyone went, you know what, Martin? That's correct. We are wrong. And we need to give all this money back. And I'm going to sell these rings and these up. No, they went, Martin, we're going to have to kill you now. Because you have left our tribe. So, the big thing you're going to see with these is a lot of these, they sound different. And the words might be different, and some of the mechanics we might think might be a little bit different, but the application of the teaching is going to be the same, like how it plays out in real life. One of the arguments I don't get in is about the end times. Like y'all know that one. You come me, what happens in the end? I go, Jesus wins. That's what happens in the end. That's the big takeaway. I've watched people lose their mind over whether or not there's a pre, mid, or post tribulation rapture, or if one exists at all. And I think it's a fun theological exercise, and I have had different stances depending on where I'm at in my walk and my studies. But the big takeaway is that Jesus wins. That's the most important part, is that Jesus wins. It's not really going to change your day-to-day that much. And if I think a lot of these disagreements come in because it's God trying to grow us, and it's the devil trying to split us. So one more time, Wes, do you reread Romans 3:10-18?
As it is written, there is no righteous person, not even one. There is no one who understands. There is no one who seeks out God. They have all turned aside. Together they have become corrupt. There is no one who does good. There is not even one. Their throat is an open grave. With their tongues they keep deceiving. The venom of asps is under their lips. Their mouth is full of cursing and bitterness. Their feet are swift to shed blood. Destruction and misery are in their paths. And they have not known the way of peace. There is no fear of God before their eyes.
This is pretty harsh scripture. And it actually should be pretty convicting. I think you can take that, because that's an Old Testament quote. Paul didn't write that in Romans. Paul was quoting the Old Testament. I think you can take that quote, and I think you can apply that to groups today. That they're pretending to be righteous and they aren't. Their throat is an open grave. In one of the things we're trying to teach the kids is try to place value on their words. And that's ironic coming from me, given the sheer volume of words I spew out on the daily basis. But the words coming out of their mouth are words of destruction. They're an open grave, openly inviting people to join them in death. It says their feet are swift to shed blood. We talked about one of the dangers in tribalism is it gets to, we've gone from, we think we're righteous, we're spewing hate, now we're going to kill people that disagree with us. Again, this is not a unique, it sounds like it could be in 2026 fairly easily based just on whatever was in the news this morning that I have not looked at yet, right? But it's timeless. It's been since the beginning. Look at Cain and Abel. Quick to shed blood. And it just says there's no peace. When you see these groups that essentially not only benefit from conflict, but they thrive on conflict. Their entire life is conflict. I have met people that cannot enjoy good things in their lives because they don't know who they are unless they're in conflict or they're a victim, right? And it's just heartbreaking because they define themselves ultimately by things that are not ultimate. And so whenever we're witnessing, whenever we're sharing the gospel, whenever we're studying, we don't want to fall into this trap right here. Because ultimately the goal of sharing the gospel is not to prove you're right. It's to share the gospel with someone so that they might actually have peace, not just in this life, but eternally. Questions, comments? That's a lot to think about. All right, Jamie, close us in the word of